Crisis for evolution, health, mind, and essential oils. When somebody speaks about a disease, for example, having caught a cold or having been contaminated with a virus or a bacteria, we often may ask ourselves, who and where is the actual originator of this? Is it true that we are only victims of a disease, innocent victims, and that disease is just a bad curse, a kind of an undeserved blow of destiny? Well, thinking deeper, everybody agrees that disease simply cannot be understood as something created only by outside agents. It is above all a process linked to our inner worlds. The ancients said, healthy mind, healthy body. How could it otherwise be that some people are resistant and some are not resistant to the same pathogens? We can also say a healthy organism is in balance with all its inner and outer aspects. It is tuned into a world which is made of an inside-outside fluctuating but stable connectedness. A diseased organism often has lost this connection, giving rise to dissonance between spirit, mind and body, and its environment. But more radically, we can also say the main reason of all attack through disease lies in the one who is attacked, not in the attacker. Or, speaking of viruses, bacteria, etc., the reason for disease lies in the host, not in the germ. Louis Pasteur expressed like this on his deathbed: Bernard was right. The germ is nothing. The terrain is everything. Another important aspect is the fact that far more than any other species on Earth, we as human beings are constantly challenged by the element of change. Disease can be understood as a crisis of evolution, where new decisions have to be made for progress. It is a warning signal and a chance at the same time. The right answer to this signal decides about our potential for healing. Rudolf Steiner puts it like this, quote, "The human condition is to step from one stage of equilibrium to the next. The disruption of this balance is always at the cost of certain elements for the sake of other elements. Some decrease, others increase and develop beyond measure. Being out of balance, the individual loses his link with the universal forces." End of quote. It is always the same. The outer world either imposes itself too much or too little. Thus, the outer damages add to the loss of the internal balance. A bacterial infection or the like are only secondary accidents, symptomatic expressions of the underlying disease. Of course, if we understand the sudden appearance of a disease as a crisis, the word crisis has its origin in Greek, means decision, so disease as a crisis for a new decision of our existence, then disease can be a turning point for a more healthy life. In this sense, disease is kind of pre-programmed in us, due to the fact that we cannot avoid change. In a modern society of hectic change, the problem of quick adaptability and flexibility of the human being to a constant program of change cannot but create a vast variety of change-induced health problems. But we must not forget the unstable equilibrium and the breaking of symmetries, as would say Ilya Prigogine. This breaking of symmetries of our psychophysiological conditions is a must for evolution. So we have to focus on another level of understanding, namely on the underlying dis-ease in us, in order to grasp the total context. And this context lies in consciousness first, nowhere else. Let us not forget, we have to choose carefully our feelings and thoughts, as well as our environment, if we do not want them to become toxic. Keep what brings you peace. Release what brings you suffering. Know that happiness and health is just a thought away, says Natan Panwar. And Buddha said, the mind is everything. What we think, we become. Yes, it is true. Our thinking is a major factor for our well-being. We can change our world, inner and outer, with a mere thought. But how can we learn to be thoughtful? Thinking is the biggest enemy and the most intricate, glorious benefactor in our life. Our thoughts control where we want to go and not to go. With everything, it is like this. They are the head of that fountain welling up constantly from our innermost being. Whether we allow them to participate in creating the chaos and suffering of our so-called human condition, or its amazing beauty and harmony, it's totally up to us. So we have to learn to think, meaning to think thoughtfully, because nobody has taught us this before. No teacher, no parent, no friend. Because the teacher of this can only be my own inner self. There is no outer teacher to tell us how to think correctly. No religion, no book, no coach, no priest. We are actually born to learn to think. And that was our choice. Normally we would say, life teaches us to think. If we are sensitive enough, we are able to feel inwardly that our thoughts often are going into the wrong direction. We are even able to feel that, for example, negative thoughts, maintained for too long, bring our energy down. Yes, it is totally possible to even feel frequencies of thoughts. And we can easily feel to be obsessively engaged by our thoughts. That is a quantum leap in collective human evolution. We are starting to feel, yes, to feel physically, whether our thoughts and emotions are in tune with us and the world around us. But even more than that, if we want, we can also use thoughts as inner words. The Sanskrit root for word, by the way, is vrit, which is the same root for vortex. So we want to let thoughts pull us vertically deep inside into our consciousness and experience the greatest levels of freedom humans can achieve. This is what true meditation, for example, means. And true meditation teaches us particularly one important thing. Do not believe everything you think. You are not your thoughts, as much as you are not your body. Yes, thoughts can be the biggest liars, the most sneaky, misguiding friends, the most amazing hypocrites. They literally create disease every day. The color and weight of human thoughts constantly decides about the destiny of the world. The danger of thoughts is that they are so near to us. They impose themselves constantly, and this within microseconds. How many thoughts are humans thinking every day? An average maybe 40,000, 50,000. The influence of their wave function is enormous. Most of them is just rubbish, because we have, as I said, not learned the ability to guide them. Again, do not believe all of them. Meditation empowers that one element which we can call the silent witness in us. The Sanskrit word is sakshi, the inner witness. He is the one who participates in our thinking and feelings and effortlessly guides us to correct mental and emotional misbehavior. Let us not forget, behind the chattering noise of thoughts hides our freedom. The freedom of adjusting positive thinking with positive feeling, and the art of experiencing subtle, more powerful levels of thought. Thoughts which are progressively nearer to our being in peace with ourselves. So, in a sense, we are responsible for our thoughts. With every thought, we influence not only our inner world, but also our environment, our partners, family, friends, everything and everybody near and far. The subtle quantum field of thinking radiates peace or war, health or disease everywhere. With our thoughts, we choose our destiny. And again, since we have acquired a cortical and neocortical brain as human beings, wisdom of the ancient reminds us of the innate possibilities of ours to dive beyond the surface level of thinking, dive into our natural inner silence through meditation, and, coming out of it, experience our thoughts and feelings with more awareness. This is what Buddha called mindfulness, sati, being aware of the mental circus, of the snaps and traps of thoughts from the level of the gap lying between thinking and being. Now, what has this to do with essential oils? Well, the incredible thing is that also odors can bring us deeper into our own inner being. Odors have a direct access to our limbic system. That's where a lot of pre-thinking is happening. I mean, before a thought is created on the level of the neocortex, inside the human brain, it is in a way preconditioned by the older cerebral system, which we share, for example, with monkeys and other animals. And since thinking, as we know it very well, is such an important element in the game of being human, we have to access by all natural means that part within us, which, from a deeper level, influences all the time our thinking and feeling. Olfactive experiences, or olfactotherapy, with essential oils has shown that we can reprogram our thinking and feeling naturally and spontaneously. Smelling is the first and the oldest of our five senses. Smelling is the oldest language in the realm of life. I'm convinced that every heavily addicted cigarette smoker, for example, can, if he wants, get rid of his addiction just by a simple means of creatively using various essential oils, maybe hidden in a little pouch in the other pocket of his jacket, just next to his cigarettes. Meaning, whenever he wants to grab a cigarette, he grabs, for example, a jasmine oil, or a rose oil, or a lavender oil, or a neroli oil, and keeps inhaling their fragrance for 2 to 3 minutes. Addiction is also a kind of disease. So again, what we need is another approach. We need to introduce an element which helps us change the surface level of our human condition. Fragrances do have that. They can lead us very deep. We should not forget, on the surface level of ourselves, we are pretty much conditioned human beings. But on a deeper level, we are pretty much ourselves. Everybody a unique and free expression of life in all its infinite colors and beauty. It is true, smelling with full awareness the pure fragrance of nature from an essential oil brings us deeper to our own nature, away from the surface level. Surface thinking is unilateral thinking. Mature thinking needs verticality, or better, the unilateral or horizontal self-gossip needs vertical alignment by talking with our innermost being. It is amazing, but fragrances from the heart of nature, such as we find in essential oils, can generate that talk in us, that depth in us. And this also can help us to get free from the bondage of the matrix of environmental conditioning to which we are exposed 24 hours a day. And foremost of all, essential oils, and specifically the olfactive experience with them, often bestow exactly the energy we need to free us from negative thoughts and emotions. Essential oils are frequency generators, we can read in a publication of the Center for Alternative Medicine. Yes, in their capacity to serve as biophotonic power blocks, they energize the brain, and the whole body with numerous electron-rich molecules. Research has shown that each essential oil contains a certain bioelectric frequency that, when inhaled, travels to the secondary neurons in the olfactory bulb, which sends impulses to the limbic system and the olfactory sensory center at the base of the brain. They then pass between the pituitary and pineal gland and move to the amygdala, which is the memory center for fear and trauma. To conclude, essential oils can spontaneously reprogram the brain. The fight and flight reaction of the amygdala in the limbic system is buffered. Pain and fear are reinterpreted. Moments of ease reappear in the dis-ease of a situation. We can truly say, aromatherapy is a beautiful way to help us in our constant need to reprogram ourselves or our mind. We can also say, to find our innermost freedom for a never-changing, very personal, very joyful, very evolutionary program which we define every day ourselves, which at the same time is inscribed in every human being by the grace of the intelligence of the universe. Here's a testimonial. Before meditation, directly after my accident, I had put 1 drop of jasmine sambac oil on my pulse. During meditation, all of a sudden, I was overwhelmed by a feeling of strong joy and love. It became so strong that I wanted to embrace and kiss the whole world. I could hardly restrain myself. This lasted for very long. At the same time, a huge firework of blossoms spread all over me. The blossoms were all of white synapses, and in the gaps there were lots of ice blue crystal spaces. Or this one here, another experience. My name is Richelle, and I suffer from anxiety and stress. I have been trying to relieve my stresses and anxiety by going to counseling, exercising, and many other methods. Most did help, but I noticed that I had suffered from stress and anxiety mainly when I was at work. I found my anxiety on some days was out of control. I received great information about many different aromas. The one that caught my attention was bergamot. I was very hesitant at first to try this type of therapy. Now I have been using the bergamot and noticed such a difference in my mood. When I feel that I am in a stressful situation, I take some deep breaths of the bergamot and my mood shifts to a calm feeling and my anxiety starts to disappear. I gave the orange blossom to my close friend to try because she suffers from the same stress and anxiety issues that I experience. One day I forgot my jar and noticed a significant difference in my mood. Let's just say that I won't do that again. I believe in this product. Thank you. And to leave you with this beautiful and inspiring text here, the early memories came wrapped in heat. The beauty of something unseen fills my body and makes me glad to be alive. So it was that my first rose came to me by scent in the beginning of the hot time, when the rose bushes burst into bloom. I did not see its form, not then, for something else had been awakened, a longing that will fill my heart. Do you know that the essence of plants are like the gentle touches of an angel's wings? It is up to you whether or not you turn to see their beauty. I linger with many fragrances, with cloves, with myrrh, frankincense, orange flower, rose, and so many others. These are my friends, and they will help you as well if you open your heart to them. Sometimes, as I pass my hands over the many perfumes that now dwell near me, I feel the rose blooming again in the chamber of my memory. I pray that I may never forget until the longing in my heart has finally brought me face to face with the highest. For you see, The hidden hand of healing that brings relief from the pains of this world comes from a world beyond. It comes as an aroma on the winds of the soul. This is from David LaChapelle in his beautiful book, Navigating the Tides of Change.